I think what Back to Church Sunday has more than anything demonstrated has been that you don't have to dig too far to find that desire for connection. A memory, a vague memory of connection in the past, which might have been as systematic as going to Sunday school for several years every week, and might have been as distant as a good memory of a family funeral. But Back to Church Sunday plugs into all that. It plugs into the sense people have that if they knew how to do it, they wouldn't mind being a bit better connected. And what is offered, I think, is simply, well, this is not rocket science. We can help you answer that question, because we know this is something that, given a simple means of responding, you'll warm to. It used to be said, and perhaps it's still said, that if the Communist Party of Great Britain had had the geographical network and the resources that the Christian Church, and particularly the Church of England, has in these islands, we would have been a Stalinist dictatorship many years ago. Because we have links that we haven't always fully known how to use. We haven't always known how fortunate we are. We haven't known how much buried connectedness there still is. And to take another example that I've often used in this connection, from my time again in South Wales, a church at a time of trauma for a community, in the wake of a very tragic and horrible murder of a young girl within the parish, a church which at a strategic moment simply opened its doors, found that connectedness there was immensely powerful. The curate, who tentatively suggested that maybe they ought to open the church for an hour on Friday night, expecting perhaps a couple of dozen people, found that the church was flooded with 80, 90, 100 people who wanted to come in and light a candle and sit in quiet. The connection was there, it just needed galvanizing. People wanted to know, was there a simple way of bringing connections alive? And it seems to me that as a matter of strategy at the moment, the Church of England has to go on working at that particular frontier. We are working, thanks be to God, in all sorts of ways with fresh expressions and so on, to reach the unreached and the never reached. But we're also working more and more intelligently, more and more strategically, at galvanizing the connections that are already there. The Weddings Project, I hardly need to remark, is part of that, a crucial part of that. Back to Church Sunday is another part of it, the work that's evolving at the moment, which we've just committed to. Similar projects dealing with how we cope with death and bereavement, a funerals project. All of that is part of the same strategic picture. How do we galvanize the connections that are there? How do we offer that simple answer to people who say, well, if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't mind being better connected? And because so often the church remains obstinately visible, even when it's not very highly populated, we have again something very significant in the bank. Well, I won't elaborate on that, but that's my own set of reasons for thinking that this matters, and why it matters not just as a short-term tactic, but as part of a long-term strategy. Part of a proper bit of forward thinking which builds on an intelligent analysis of what is genuinely there in communities and is able to make it work transformingly for the sake of the gospel and the sake of the kingdom of God.